If you want to know what tools that you might want to have on your boat, we're going to go over what I carry on my boat, so stay tuned.
Hear the voice within calling.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Channel Surfing Down at the Dock. So today, what tools do I keep on the boat? So I'm going to go over real briefly what I carry on the boat all the time. Voltmeter, I always have on the boat. I recommend everybody have a voltmeter. Even if you don't know how to use one, somebody on the dock will, or somebody at the other end of your phone will know how to use it. But if you don't have one on board, it makes troubleshooting electrical stuff really difficult. They're not expensive, you know, $50, $60 is really all they need to be for general voltmeter. Fuses, I go through, going through the boat. Every ATC fuse of every size that they had, I picked up, so I have a spare of all that. MRBF fuses, MIDI fuses, A&L fuses, you know, on your boat. Whatever your boat has on fuses, you should have a spare. If you blow a fuse, it is never wise to say, oh, I blew a 2 amp fuse, let me replace it with a 5 amp fuse. That's how fires start, right? So it's really important to have a spare fuse of the right size for every size that you have in your boat. For getting into cramped spaces, I love this tool. It's basically a mini ratchet for screw bits. This works really well for tight spaces. Obviously a manual screwdriver. This little ratcheting one, it goes both directions. Really nice and easy to use. Handful of bits to go with it. Ranger Tug is really nice in that most everything they do on the boat is a square drive, so I make sure that I have all the different sizes of squares, especially the 0 square. They're really small, and this one took me a while to find, but there's a couple things in the boat that use this. So this is coming really handy. I do keep a small 12 volt drill on the boat, mainly for screws, and then a nice DeWalt screw set for that as well, for taking stuff apart if necessary. The batteries on them last a long time, so you charge them at the dock, and I use them for quite a bit underway. Marine grease, I use this for the trim pistons, right? Sometimes when I'm driving along and I'm up, you know, to change the engine trim, it'll go from 2 dashes and I can't get down to 1. I got to go up and go down to shake it. The next time I'm at the dock, I'll grease the trim pistons. Things always break on a boat, so tie wraps, duct tape. Got to have both of them on the boat all the time. All right. Inside my little bin, also some electrical tape works really well. I have a wrench for doing the primary fuel filter to take that off. Replacement shear pin for the bow thruster. And then this is actually a pretty good tip too. This. So I recommend, especially when you get your boat and you're starting to install things on the boat, go down to the marine store, stainless steel hardware section, and get yourself a handful. I mean, I started with a dozen. In like number 6, number 8, number 10 screws, all square drive. Anything I add to the boat, I want to be the same as the boat. That makes it easy to work on. And get them in different lengths, you know, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, inch, 1.5 inches. That way when you're on the boat installing stuff, you've got something to say what's the right screw, because you don't want screws to go all the way through where you're, you know, come out the back of where you're putting stuff in. This makes it really easy to install installing things in the boat. And other things I just keep in here, some spares. These were kind of cool though on the windows and the outside. These are little plastic snaps. They pop off every once in a while. Sailrite is who makes them. They're pretty inexpensive, so we carry a handful of them extra on the boat. This is an extra cap in case I lose the sand tank cap, because it's not hooked to a chain. So if I drop it overboard, I've got a spare one of those on the boat. That's good to have. I also carry like some adhesive. Let's see, that's some, is that 5200? That's 4000. Fast cure stuff. Some Sailrite connectors in white to match the black ones.
Well, the white goes on the brow.
Right. And I carry some blue Loctite on the boat. Some extra shackles, in case I need those on the boat. That's pretty much it from what's in here. I also carry spare bulbs for the port and starboard running lights in case I blow one of those. Port and starboard running lights are incandescent bulbs, so they're not LEDs. So it's possible for them to burn out. And other than that, let's go in the back and look what actual tools that I carry. This is the Craftsman tool set that I keep on the boat all the time. Just your basic ratchet, standard and metric. Everything in the Yamaha is metric, everything else in the boat is standard. That way I've got some deep well sockets, regular sockets, 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch drive. It's also got some screw bits with an attachment that I can use the big ratchet on the screw bits.
Is that all stainless?
It's all chrome plated, yeah, so it's pretty resistant to salt water. That's pretty important to
As best you can.
As best you can, right. The other thing, in addition to this, is open-end boxed-in wrench. You know, and this I have, it's called gunmetal chrome, is what it's actually made out of. And this is all metric. This is specific to the Yamaha. Anytime I have to do maintenance to the Yamaha, I do this. And there's one other thing I use for the Yamaha too. Then I picked up this, which is a 7-piece hex driver socket set, and this is all in metric. It's basically for the Allen wrenches, right? But there's a way I can hook them up to a ratchet. This is really good for pulling the cowling and stuff off on the engine. So this is specific to the Yamaha, but also the standard size of these tools would work for the rest of the boat as well. And that's what I keep on the boat. If you've got any other ideas or suggestions for stuff that I should have on the boat that I don't have in the boat, leave them in the comment section below.
If you enjoyed watching this video, click the screen to watch another.